This is Adam Watson.
Robert Diaz.
You're listening to the Darkslinger Mafia podcast. So, yesterday was Frankenstein. It was the fifth Frankenstein I've done, and the second one this year. That's right?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think it's.
Let's see.
I think I could say it's the second one you've done this year.
Last year
they only do so many a year.
Yeah, they do 3 a year, and last year I did all three, and it's the second one I've done this far this year.
And it's halfway through.
They are doing a fourth one this year, though, kind of, because Frankenstein and the Vancouver Toy Junkies are doing some sort of little tiny show that's, if I understood the flyer correctly, it's being held at a movie theater. They're doing Creature from Black Lagoon and doing small little vendor tables to go along with it.
I feel like they do something together last year? Didn't someone do something
Yeah,
together?
but that was an actual, like, Vancouver Toy Junkies / Frankenstein. This is more
okay.
like the
It's more
two
low-key
are like
thing.
sponsoring the theater showing and letting vendors set up in like the lobby or something like that.
What theater?
You know, I'm not sure. It was one in Vancouver. I've got the flyer around here somewhere, but I don't know where it's at off the top of my head. It's probably in one of the boxes that I brought back yesterday. I did a little bit different strategy with the boxes yesterday, though, for the resell end.
Well, it's been a couple weeks, so I guess tell me all about it.
Okay, so I had a little bit more time to figure out what I was doing sales-wise than I normally do, because instead of scrambling to get all of the new stuff I want to get in to the boxes prior to leaving for the show like the night before, Levon had been working on organizing the boxes over the last several weeks. So that came in so handy. You know, he's looking through them, looking for anything that's not priced, all that kind of stuff. So I decided that I would run it a little differently and do more specials on the front of it. So I did like 50 cents a piece for red tags, or what was it, 12 for $10. $1 a piece on green tags, or 11 for $10. You know, $2 a piece on yellow tags, or 6 for $10. You know, so I kind of discounted that way. And then I also totaled what each box had within it and put on there, like, you can buy the whole box and it equated to 30% off, or you could buy the whole collection and get 50% off, right? Obviously, nobody bought the whole collection, as you can tell, because there are boxes in my room. But
That would have been great if
right?
you did.
But I think I tracked about 15% higher at this one than I did at most of the other Frankensteins.
So that means you were in the black then, still.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, like, it was a nice profit margin. And during the last hour of the show, I did 25% off anything. So there was a guy who came up during the last hour, and I was like, hey, you know, it's 25% off. You don't see the tag out there. He dug through and found like 4 sets and bought them during the last hour.
Nice.
And that was nice. It was weird, though. Those were the only sets I sold yesterday. So both Sasquatch and this one, I did not sell hardly any complete sets. It was
Usually
almost all
sets
single issues.
sell well.
Usually, but one of the things I did at this one is I actually had, that I haven't done at previous Frankensteins, I had 3 full size, like completely full magazine boxes that I took along, and those were busy all day long. So I had like a lot of Conan Saga, Savage Sword of Conan, Heavy Metal, and then just a bunch of random stuff. And people were eating up the Conan books.
Oh, I bet.
What surprised me, though, was Conan Saga was outselling Savage Sword, which is really weird because on eBay, I never sell Conan Saga, and I sell tons of Savage Sword. So, you know, it just shows, once again, the differences between doing a show and doing online sales.
Probably price difference sort of thing.
It is, but, like, part of the reason people don't want Conan Saga as much online is because it just reprints the first 50 or whatever issues of Conan the Barbarian in black and white instead of color. The comic was in color, the magazine is in black and white, it's magazine sized instead of comic sized. So, you know, most people would rather have something that reprints it in color and the way that it first came out.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to me. I would rather have that. But I was pricing them at like $2 a piece, and if I sell them on eBay, I think I make like $1.90 a piece. So, you know, it's a better deal for me. I'm making 10 cents more than I would off eBay.
Less
And
work, too.
a whole lot less work. And people were buying those up left and right. I think I sold through most of the Conan sagas that I took.
Nice.
Yeah, a good portion of what I made yesterday was all in the magazine size stuff sells. Frankenstein does really well for that size. And I have no idea why, but it just does.
Culture of it, I think.
That could be. There were a lot more people who just started looking through that stuff instead of looking at the comics or the sets or the graphic novels.
You got to play to the audience.
You do. But I was happy that I tracked a bit above because June is statistically like the month that you fall down a little. You know, you do really well in November and really well in like the March, April, May.
I bet that's probably because these really big cons are gearing up to go.
Yes.
And then people are trying to save their money, or they just bought their tickets and they don't have any more money to
Right.
spend.
Right.
Which is the same problem as when you walk into a big con. You know, you have like $20 to spend because you spent $100 on a ticket to get in.
Right. Unless you are somebody who seeks autographs and then you have no money to spend.
That's
you
ridiculous.
Yes, it is. But how many times does it happen? You know, like, oh, I love this Darkslinger comic, but I just spent like $150 on this autograph ticket.
You know what they should do is become people that sell at the shows like you. Table across from these people and then meet them.
Right? Yeah.
That's worked so far.
It has. One thing, just really quickly, I know I mentioned this before with Levon and Elias on the podcast, but I'm not sure if I told you or not. Did I tell you that Wenatchee actually gave all of the vendors free autograph tickets?
Autographed tickets?
No, like a ticket to go get a free autograph from their celebrities.
Didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. It's unfortunate that I had absolutely zero interest in meeting any of the
were there any
quote
cool
unquote
people
celebrities, but
was there any cool people there that I would have wanted an autograph from?
Probably not. The one guy's biggest
care.
claim to fame is that he was one of the voice actors in one of the Assassin's Creed games.
No, I don't care about that.
Right. The other guy was see, you might know who he is if I can explain him well enough. You've seen the Jim Carrey How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
Jim Carrey?
Yeah, you know the live action one?
That was him?
Yeah, that was him.
Oh, I guess I just don't recall. Yeah, I know that.
Okay, so the very beginning, Cindy Lou's older brothers, who are barely seen outside of the very beginning of that movie, they're these tall, not to be mean, but kind of goofy looking guys. That guy, one of those two guys, was one of the celebrities. And his other claims to fame are like bit parts in other movies, like Catch Me If You Can. He's the guy who goes up to Tom Hanks and he's like, "Oh, you're a collector, huh?" And Tom Hanks is like, "What are you talking about?" And he's looking at the list and all the names on it are aliases for like Flash characters. And so he's the one who points that out. You know, he's a waiter who points that out. So he's had minor speaking roles in some movies, and then apparently he was a voice actor who did one of the Ninja Turtles in, I think, the Michael Bay Ninja Turtle movies.
Don't recall. Don't know.
He was like Donatello or something like that, right? But yeah, that's nothing you care to get an autograph, right? Levon is a huge Ninja Turtles nerd and didn't feel the need to go get an autograph from him.
I think that's a really cool idea that they did that.
Yes, I think it's a great idea. So the only one of them who I actually like legitimately knew what she had done, Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory.
Oh, that would have been cool.
But that's like her only claim to fame if you look at her IMDb.
That doesn't matter. I grew up with Dexter.
She was there, and I'm not totally positive that it was hers, but at the same time she showed up, Elias and I had stepped outside, and we went out the back, and there's like this stretch Hummer outside, and it had like a personalized plate that said like Sassy or something like that, and we were about 90% positive that's what she came in.
Awesome. I would have gotten that autograph.
Well, you would have, but every time you went by the line, you know, there was really nobody there. But I thought it was still pretty cool that, you know, they gave out autograph tickets. I've never been to a show that did that. So whether or not I wanted to meet the celebrities, it was still cool that they gave you the option of doing something like that, you know?
An autograph from her would have had to have just been her signing, "Ooh, button," and then like her name under it.
That would have been great.
That's all you need from someone like that.
So yeah, I think the next, beyond and besides the little creature from the Black Lagoon show that they're sponsoring, I think the next actual Frankenstein is probably in November, October or November, somewhere around there.
Their final one of the year.
Yeah, and I will most likely be doing that. I'm doing Sasquatch again on October 27th, I believe, is when Donna said it was going to be.
How'd the Sasquatch go the other week?
Sasquatch went really well. I ended up making quite a lot of money there once again.
In the black?
Oh, yeah. So far, the only shows I was not in the black for are the I Like Comic Con and the WinCon, Wenatchee.
The first one, very unfortunate, but kind of negligible. The
I Like Comic Con was expensive as shit.
Yeah, but I mean, there was some other stuff that did well that kind of helped.
Yes.
Offset a little bit.
Yes, like the Hillsborough Con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunate that it didn't do well, but,
Right.
That's always going to happen.
Yeah. So the only thing I did not like about Frankenstein yesterday was they got to do something about the music in there.
Still playing it really loud?
Oh, it was so loud, and the selection yesterday was the worst yet. So, I do not like that music, just in general. But yesterday, it was like nothing but 70s head music that you would hear, like when you're buying a pipe in the 70s, And I heard, like, somebody request, like, David Bowie, right? I'm not a big Bowie fan. I like a few things he did.
He's good.
So I'm hoping that, like, they're going to do...
Let's Dance album, that was fantastic.
I was hoping they would do, like, the Queen David Bowie song. That's what I was hoping for.
Under Pressure.
Under Pressure, yeah.
You just want that one track.
Yeah, I just wanted that one. I was just like, okay, like, I heard this guy request Bowie, and...
What about him and I think it was Jagger, Dancing in the Street?
Okay, I'd listen to that. That'd be fine. But what they play is, like, the one fucking David Bowie song that has almost no singing in it. And it's just like, ugh. Every song they played was like a one beat song that if it had singing, it was barely any. And it was loud and annoying. It made me feel like I was shopping in a head shop in the 70s.
I hate that. You need to turn that shit down.
Yeah.
Because your audience doesn't really want to hear that.
No. There were 3 people who I talked to yesterday who really enjoyed the music being played. And everybody else was just like, I wish that should be turned off so that we can actually hear what the customers are saying.
I would be fine in any place to not have any music playing.
Yes.
That's coming from someone that listens to music almost all the time.
Right. I do too. But not when I want to deal with customers,
Yeah, I'm walking around this place. I'm trying to think and listen and look at all this stuff.
Right.
And I don't need another auditory thing trying to invade my brain.
Yes. So during the downtimes, I was trying to work on some scripts. And it was hard as shit to focus on them because I just got like this rhythmic pounding going on in my ear. And it felt like, something was trying to stick itself into my ear, if you get what I'm saying.
You leave with some money in your pocket and some tinnitus in your ears.
Yeah. But, the music is not enough to keep me from wanting to do the show again. I love the show overall. I think it's a great show.
Yeah, it's a good little show.
Yeah.
It's a profitable little show.
Yeah, it's a very profitable show. And it's fun. And, and I like the guys who put it on. And I like the other dealers who were there, so.
They're always cool people.
Oh, so speaking of other dealers that were there. So Donald from Fantasticon was there, right? And I wasn't able to go to Fantasticon this last time around, so I asked him, how it went. And he told me that the show was going really great up until the point that some drunken idiot crashed in the parking lot and his car blew up.
Damn.
Yeah, so it was at a college campus this time. They rented one of the halls or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the college. And apparently some kid was drunk, slammed his car into like a pole or something like that. He got out of the car so he didn't die. But the car blew up and actually blew the ground underneath it up. And apparently they had underground power lines going under the parking lot, and he managed to take one of them out that was to the building the con was in, if I understood Donald correctly. Now bear in mind, it was over loud music, so maybe I didn't understand every single bit of this correctly. But
that's impressive.
Right?
It's a big bummer to the con.
Right? Sasquatch was a lot of fun. That was the first of these Diller type shows that Levon's done.
Did he do well?
He did really well. Yeah, he did really well.
I bet. Talk to people.
He enjoyed it so much, too, because he got to go around and do all the shopping, and we hadn't even set up yet, and he had already made his first purchase. So we go walking through the door, and years ago, like I'd mentioned before, he's a big Ninja Turtle nerd.
Yeah.
And years ago, Image Comics did a crossover between Savage Dragon and Ninja Turtles. And somehow it led into a Ninja Turtle action figure line that included some Savage Dragon characters. We go in and he spots one of the figures from that line carded, just like right off the bat, right? And as we're kind of walking past, how much is that? $5. Bam. Buys it before we've even... like he carries something out of the car before a box has even been carried inside.
Damn. That's dedication.
Right. But yeah, he bought quite a bit of stuff.
He's really setting me out as an outlier. Take to these shows. The person that doesn't leave the table because no one has organized boxes.
But yesterday I spent less money than I ever have in New Frankenstein. It's not because of any problems with what was there or anything like that. It was just I need to save money for a lot of life events that are coming up.
Like what?
I don't want to talk about those yet on the podcast.
No?
I don't want to talk about those until I've talked to my grandma.
Oh, okay. Your grandma's an avid listener.
Yeah, I don't know. My grandma surprises me once in a while, so she'll know something about all of this that I wouldn't have expected her to, so I can't promise she's not listening to the podcast.
You never know, I guess.
You never know, and you also never know what other family members might be listening who I've neglected to tell anything, who will tell my grandma, and I would like to tell my grandma when I can show her. So that life event will be talked about in a future episode.
Or it can be addressed. There's plenty.
Yeah, it'll be addressed.
It's whatever.
Right.
Did you get anything at Sasquatch?
Yes, I bought. Let's see. I did not find a single solitary comic interview style magazine. I did find one that still kind of fit the general niche of that I picked up for a quarter, 50 cents or something like that. It was a Hero Illustrated, which was the sort of enemy, I guess, to Wizard Press. They did the same style magazine, but Hero was actually a little bit better, but Wizard won out in the end. They apparently released a special around 96, 97 that had biographies on the biggest comic creators of that time. It was quarter, 50 cents, something like that, so I bought that. And then I'm trying to collect all of the Arak Son of Stone comics. It's 50 issue run. And somebody had a bunch of those for 10 cents. So I bought a bunch to fill in the space there. And then somebody else had American Flag for 25 cents a piece. And I filled out some of my run there. Nothing that's the most fantastic thing or some really super exciting graphic novel I'd been looking for or anything like that. But
just some things to fill up your collection.
Just some things to fill up my collection. Stuff that I consider cool, so.
Personal?
Yes, personal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually did not find anything to flip at either of the shows. I found a lot of stuff to flip at garage sales recently, but not at the shows.
The garage sales have sounded more profitable.
The garage sales have been very profitable. Yeah, I found
it's the time of year everybody's trying to get rid of stuff.
Yeah, the one garage sale I went to, the guy just had a massive amount of 80s stuff. So I'm kind of looking around, and right off the bat, I spot a Jaga from Thundercats. He didn't have his accessories, but his paint was perfect. His joints were perfect, or damn near at least. It had the tiniest amount of paint wear, right? And I was like, hey, excuse me, how much is this Thundercats Jaga? Now, I shouldn't have said the exact name, because then people know you know what it is. But it turned out just fine, because guys like, that thing? Oh, 50 cents. Sweet. So I picked that up. A Beetlejuice action figure, which I ended up giving to Levon.
I didn't know they made action figures for that.
It was from the Beetlejuice animated series. And they had action figures based off of that. So they don't look like they did in the movie. But
terrifying?
They're still kind of terrifying. This one was a shipwrecked Beetlejuice. So he looks like he's been on a cruise. And when you pushed his legs in, snakes popped out of the top of his head. Levon loved it. So, then just some random stuff like this Miss Piggy paper doll set that came with 27 dresses for Miss Piggy. And it's almost kind of creepy because when you take the Miss Piggy paper doll out, she's wearing a teddy.
That's kind of creepy.
It is kind of weird. G.I. Joe color forms, found some G.I. Joe accessories, some vehicles, stuff like that. But my favorite thing I found in it I'm going to wait to list this until I have sold through the other stuff. I sold Jaga in like 10 minutes. Paid 50 cents for him, sold him for $74.99 within 10 minutes.
Fuck.
My favorite thing, I found the Black Lion from Voltron, the original die-cast.
You're so damn
Black
proud
Lion.
of it.
I am. I wanted the Voltron lion so goddamn bad when I was a kid. And there is no lion you want nearly as bad as the Black Lion. You know, he's the centerpiece, he's the head. You can't connect to the others without him. So I want him so bad. And I picked up this baggie of action figures and was looking at it to see what it was. And it was just like Lion King McDonald's toys, right? But this piece of chrome caught my eye. And I flipped it around. Black Lion was in there. So I was like, hey, Tyler, go ask him how much this bag is. And Tyler is like, hey, how much is this bag that has a Voltron figure in it? I'm like, Tyler, no. So the guy's like, 50 cents. So all told, I probably found a good $500 to $600 worth of resale stuff in there that I paid.
Goddamn.
Including the stuff I let the kids get, I paid $18 for.
You know, one day, not too long from now, if you're still doing this, you're going to hit that shitty point where you're going to have to continue to learn more about the younger generation shit.
I already have.
Than your own.
I've already hit that point. Oh. I've had to learn stuff about, like, Yokai Watch.
I don't know what that is.
And Pokemon.
Oh, okay, I know what that is.
And, you know, you got to remember, some of the stuff I learned about I actually don't like, despite the fact that I'm a nerd. Like, I've had to learn just about every friggin' Star Wars character that's had an action figure made off it, and I am one of the few comic nerds out there that does not like Star Wars.
You know, I'm not a fan either. The older stuff was alright, the newer stuff just does not do it for me. These new Star Wars, you know, I don't need it.
Yeah.
We might be outliers.
When I was a kid, I thought it was, you know, alright. I didn't see what all the fervor was about, but I thought it was alright.
Yeah.
And then I went to see the remake in theater with my uncle, right? And all of these new stupid special effects and all that shit just put me to sleep. It bored the shit out of me.
I was alright with the old 6 that they made.
But I do like the Ewoks, the Jawas, like the creatures I like from there. The Rancor, he's fucking awesome. I mean, like, I always hoped when I was a kid that at some point he was going to bite Luke's head off.
I just can't get behind the new Star Wars.
I have not seen any of the new Star Wars.
I've seen them both. The first one, you know, it was good. Like, okay. And then the second one, I was like, you know, I don't want you to take my money for this. Right.
Did you see, what is it, like Rogue One?
No, but I heard that because it's kind of like a standalone thing. It was good.
Yeah, I heard that about that and Solo. I heard both.
Solo looks entertaining. It's not going to restore my faith to see the next Star Wars.
Right.
But, you know, I'd like to see it.
So speaking of movies, I did finally get the chance to get out and see a movie.
Which one?
Deadpool 2.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, we finally got our first date night in 6 months.
It's funny. You know, it reminds me of the second one. I feel like it tried to be the first one a little too much to, like, capitalize on all that. Mm-hmm. But it was still funny. It was still entertaining.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I really felt that it was trying to be the first one.
Difference of opinion, I guess.
I guess. I thought this one had a whole lot more comic nods in it. So, just to warn you, there are going to be some spoilers for this movie and what we're about to say. So, you might want to skip ahead a few minutes. Alert. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. But, you know, like, Juggernaut in X-Men 3 didn't look a thing like he did in the comics. And I like Vinnie Jones well enough as a Juggernaut, you know.
He's
but
funny.
This Juggernaut actually looked like in the comics, right? And then, like, when Deadpool was talking about Domino's powers, and he's like, what type of lazy-ass creator would come up with something like that? I bet it was a guy who can't draw feet, you know? Like, that's Rob Liefeld he's talking about. Rob Liefeld can't draw feet.
It's funny. You know,
and then
it had a lot
having
of
the whole
X
X-Force team just, like, bite it right away. That's straight from the first Ecstatics issue of X-Force, and they had one of the Ecstatics characters on the team, the guy who puked.
So maybe I would have liked it. Maybe I would have thought it was even better
if you knew all the nods to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was still funny.
When he's talking about Cable being short, he's like 5'11", not at all like he is in the comics.
But all the references that I could see were funny.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was great. I found it to be
I
fantastic.
liked him
I was
killing
laughing the whole time.
himself.
Yes.
Before that, I liked him calling Cable Thanos, all this other random shit that he threw in.
Are you sure you're not a DC villain or a hero?
It's funny. And it tried to throw in that bit of story and humanity into it, too.
Right.
Underneath
Which they
it.
kind of have to do.
Yeah. And it was kind of good to see them taking on the perspective of trying to save this one bullied fat kid.
Right.
That has no friends because not only is he a mutant, but he's fat and he's tortured.
Right.
Literally
and
tortured.
Where that kid came from was also a comic nod. Because he was from the Essex home, right? Well, in the comics, Cyclops is Cable's father. Which you have to understand the X-Men's time jumping around bullshit to get.
Yeah, you told me all about it and I don't remember.
Yeah, because Cable's like 20 years older than Cyclops, so it makes no sense. But anyway, Cyclops is Cable's dad. And Cyclops grew up in an orphanage that was owned by Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister's real name is Nathaniel Essex. So even though they didn't end up having that guy be Mr. Sinister, which I was wondering through the whole thing if he was going to be or not, they still gave that little nod to, you know, the orphanage where Cyclops came from. And I thought that was pretty cool too, you know.
That's a whole other lens to view this movie from.
Yeah. You need to watch it again with my commentary. I will tell you everything.
You'll just have to record a commentary that syncs up with it.
I can totally do that.
Or we'll just have to watch it and pause it and turn the 2-hour movie into a 3-hour movie.
Right. Audra is almost done with the final 3 episodes of Game of Thrones right now, and she told me I need to watch it with her when she watches it a second time so I can give her commentary on all the stuff she doesn't know.
I've watched it twice. Some episodes more than that because of other people catching up. Just rewatching it with them randomly when they were watching it. And I still want to watch it all again.
I want to watch that show all the time. And did you see that they officially announced the prequel show now?
No. I'm perfectly happy to leave it as it is.
I want a prequel show, but it's not the prequel show I hoped we'd get.
It's too much of a cash cow for them to leave alone. And that's what I hate about so many things.
So from what I could tell, the prequel show is going to be about like the older generation when they were young. So like, you know, Eddard and Robert Baratheon and all those guys.
You know, his rise to power, that would be entertaining. But I you know, if anyone's ever going to do that, you can't pull like a Disney or other franchises, you know, there's others that have done it, but Disney's the big one right now, to span in 90 different directions.
Right.
And try to you're just making...
But I would like at least a movie based off the Hedge Knight.
But if they did
So if not, like, they don't need to do a full-on series. Like, do like they did with the Gunpowder show that Jon Snow was in.
Oh, yeah, Remember the 5th of November.
Guy Fawkes Day.
Yeah.
Do something like that, like a 3-episode one.
Yeah.
Or a full-on movie of, I want to see the Hedge Knight done. Because the Hedge Knight is a story of a guy who becomes a knight and takes on as a squire Aegon Targaryen, who grows up to be the Mad King.
That sounds like it would be a cool little 3-part thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like this thing that you're talking about that they're going to make with the war that led up to to Robert taking the throne, I'd be into watching that in limited series. Because it's kind of come back a little bit, the limited series.
Yeah.
I feel like it has made a comeback to what
I
it was.
haven't
the BBC
read up on it much yet, so I don't know if this is going to be a full-on like series or if it will be a mini-series or something like that.
I feel like the BBC and like those European shows and English shows, their series are always limited. Maybe not like the series itself, but the seasons are pretty limited. Some are 3, some are 6, some are 8 episodes. But they keep it in small chunks.
Right.
I feel like that's a better way to do shows, to keep them in smaller bits and pack in a little bit more.
Yes.
And then to leave some of the stuff out. You know, get really good storytelling into a bit, and then always leave your people wanting more.
Right.
And maybe not always give it to them. Because some of the best things that we've seen that people absolutely love, there's nothing left to see. There's only a few things.
Right.
People went crazy over Sherlock, and he's only 3 episodes a season over the course of like 5 years, and there's 4 seasons?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's longer than 5 years. And then Firefly, that had 13 episodes ever, plus a
13
movie.
episodes and then the Serenity movie.
People want more, but if you just left it at what it is, people are always going to love what it is.
So they are calling it the Age of Heroes, Game of Thrones, the Age of Heroes. So what they've announced so far is that they ordered a pilot for a prequel show set during the Age of Heroes. Oh, okay, I'm wrong. It's not about the war.
Oh,
it's
lame.
a time some 10,000 years before the events in the current series, when Westerosi myth and legend is born.
All right, I love myth and legend. You got my attention back.
So, from their statement, taking place thousands of years before the events of Game of Thrones, the series chronicles the world's descent from the golden age of heroes into its darkest hour. And only one thing is for sure, from the horrifying secrets of Westeros history to the true origin of the White Walkers, the mysteries of the East to the Starks of legend, it's not the story we think we know.
So, it's pretty much building the prophecy that is taking place right now.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that sounds cool.
I'm going to have to wait years again to get into it. Because I waited until the end of, I think, season, 6. Whatever season Jon Snow died.
Uh-huh.
And then the next one after that.
That's season 5.
That's the one where he died?
Yeah.
So, season 6 was going.
Uh-huh.
When I finally started the show.
Okay.
Because I was like, whatever. I don't have HBO. I don't need all this bullshit. People are talking
So
about
the earliest this will air would be 2020.
So I binged 5 seasons and caught up to the show and watched like the last 2 episodes live. I might have to do that with this one because I just don't have the patience to wait around. We've been waiting how many years? A year and a half?
Apparently they're not doing Robert's Rebellion or Duncan Egg, which is a Hedge Knight, because those stories are already so well known that they didn't want to have to handcuff them to something that,
That's understandable. You want a little creative rights in your writing.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and I bet Martin's just like, I don't give a fuck. Get me out of this shit.
So,
let me finish my books finally.
This website is thinking that they that the story will revolve around characters like Bran the Builder, who is a legendary Stark who supposedly built the wall to protect against the others. And things like that.
Oh, and that's cool. I'd like to learn about that because, the wall's built so damn thick and high and it has those spells within it.
Right.
To keep the shit out.
Yeah, I think this sounds cool. This is definitely something I'm going to be checking out. I love Game of Thrones. So
it's a fantastic story. It was really well done. And you think Martin has anything to do with that stuff? Or?
He's at least got some oversight into it.
Yeah, maybe probably his name attached to it.
Oh, his name would have to be attached to it.
Yeah,
he's the creator of the show.
But beyond that,
he's the creator of the books. So
I wouldn't blame him for wanting to finish his series that he's doing now and maybe move on.
Right.
No harm in that.
No harm in that at all.
It's always cool,
Yeah,
I want to stick to something for.
I think, by the way,
as
long as we're in spoiler territory already and we're so far off the Darkslinger path and talking about TV shows and movies, I think that Bran created the Mad King. Have I told you that before?
You have, and that was a very interesting theory to hear.
Yeah,
and it could be right because he got in there,
right?
And just fucked him up.
Yeah, because if you watch really carefully in the one episode, you will see the Mad King flash saying burn them all at the same time that the White Walkers are attacking the Three-Eyed Raven's cave.
So then in that world, everything is preordained as to what happens.
Right? And it would make sense if they knew fire killed the White Walkers, or at least, kept them at bay, and he was trying to set the city on fire and burn all the citizens with dragon's fire.
He was just a little too crazy.
Yeah, he went crazy because he got in his head and Hodored him.
No, what do they call that stuff? It's not dragon's fire, but it's equivalent to that Greek fire that they use.
I thought they did call it dragon's fire, or is it dragon's breath?
I can't remember.
I think it's either Dragon's Fire or Dragon's Breath that they call it. In
I
any
don't know.
case,
It was based off a real thing.
yeah, a lot of the stuff was. Valerian still is based off Damascus still.
Yeah, that was really cool. When they finally started to talk a little bit about Valerian Steel, I was like, this sounds oddly familiar.
Right? I mean, the whole story is based off War of the Roses.
And it's fantastic.
So, yeah.
That's awesome that he put in these real elements to it. Not many people put in that much time to a story.
The best known stories.
The best known, but there's a million stories that aren't the best known.
That is true. That is true. I put in an immense amount into each and every one of mine. I have probably going on now 15 years worth of research for Principalities. And I don't use even a 16th of the research.
Yeah, but we haven't got to read all that.
Yeah, I know.
You spent too much time researching.
Well, no, a lot of, I mean, I have covers done for like 14 issues. And I think that part of the reason that I'm doing all these covers right now is because I really want to get the look down for how the interior artist needs to draw the characters and everything, I really want to build the fantastical element of it and, make it deviate from superheroes as much as possible. Which was a problem when I released first issue, is I was in superhero writing mode, despite the fact that I've never done a superhero book. I had read too many superhero comics.
Yeah, I bet you have. Shouldn't have been too into XMen when you were a kid.
Apparently not, because that's kind of what the first iteration of Principalities felt like when I went through and read it, with fresh eyes. I'm like, yeah, I kind of created something super heroic here, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted a religious myth.
That's cooler.
Yeah. My hope is that at some point, what I write in Principalities will actually be like retconned and canonized into Christianity, and they'll start teaching it.
That is the most far-flung hope I've ever heard.
Well, you never know. Paradise Lost has been worked and incorporated into the Bible. They've done it before.
So we'll give you a lot of time, and maybe you'll get in there.
Yeah, exactly. It may not be in my lifetime. And if my grandma was listening, she now turned it off. So
I guess these days, for what it is these days, you might not have to turn it into an epic poem. You might just be able to work it as a comic book and be all right.
Exactly. That's where most of our modern myth comes from, right?
Comic book as opposed to epic poem?
That's right.
Yeah, I guess.
How many people read epic poems these days?
Not many. Not many people might realize what an epic poem is.
That's right.
We might even be wrong, and people listening are like, you fucking idiots.
Right? We might be.
Yeah, well, fuck those people.
Yeah, because we do read epic poems, just so you know.
Yeah.
Dante's Divine Comedy, not Dante's Inferno. Just take that.
Bitch.
People who are doubting us. Of which there are probably none that are listening. Of the 5 people who are listening.
Doubt us or not. Write something in the comments and go fuck yourself.
Quit being rude to the listeners.
Oh, you're right. I don't apologize.
Yeah, well, that's you. So anyway, on to convention talk. Now that we're damn near through with this, and we've talked mainly about TV shows and movies, I think I'm going to take June off.
Like the rest of it?
Yeah. I already did Frankenstein.
It's already half over.
It's already half over. There are some cons that I could add to it, or appearances or something like that. But I think I just want to take the month off and focus on like writing scripts, doing some stuff that doing a lot of conventions doesn't give me much time to do.
It's a bold choice, but it's a good choice, I think.
I think it is too. Now, that's not to say that if something pops up where I think I can make a bunch of money doing some resale or whatever, that I'm not going to take it. I mean, you know me. But the only convention I have confirmed for June or July is Rustorama. And I think
that biker show.
Yeah, that's bikes, cars, mini trucks. That's at the end of July, on July 21st. And I think that I might just take convention time off until then.
What about your Seaside show?
I really want to do that, but I think so. It turns out Rustorama is the same weekend as that. I didn't realize that before, but it's a 2-day event, and I do have free tickets to go to it. So I think I may just end up going down there for the day, just doing a day at the beach, just check it out, but not actually exhibit there. Mm-hmm. And then if it seems like a good show, put it on the docket for next year.
All right.
You know, I could use a little beach getaway and make a little business trip out of it. You know, just spend an hour at the show or whatever, and then go around, get some seafood, and have fun on the beach, you know? But
sounds a little bit better than sitting inside all day.
Right? This has been like, what, the 20th con in the last year and a half? I'm getting a bit of con fatigue.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm planning on having a heavy signing schedule when Ghost Assassin is fully going and I have the Chronicles of Von Helsing hardcover out and stuff. I'm not just planning on doing conventions and library shows. I want to do a bunch of store signings during that time. If I don't give myself a bit of a break now, I'm going to be completely fucking burned out by the time that happens.
Surprised you're not burned out already.
I am a little burned out, honestly. And so, you know, I think the best thing I can do is just take a little break, let myself relax to the degree that I relax, work on some of the reselling I have piling up around here, work on some scripts that are piling up, you know, do that kind of shit. And get some books prepped, do all that.
Life
work on
catches
getting
up.
some ebooks done, stuff, you know. Just that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And just take a few weekends to not do conventions.
That's a pretty big announcement for you.
I know it is. But as I was sitting there at Frankenstein this week, and I was just like, you know, I love this show, but I don't want to be here right now. And once I start having that thought, it's like, it's time to take a break. So
yeah,
I think it'll be a nice break, and you know, July 21st will come before we know it. So
it's a little more than a month out.
Exactly. So as soon as that hits, you know, and like at the moment we're prepping a 4th of July pinup for El Bovine Muerte, and I got the first page this week from the Christmas special for Little Lame Mime and the Mini Slingers, and I still got to get the script over to Joel for issue number 4 of Ghost Assassin, which Joel, if you're listening, is coming this week. And you know, like, it's not that I don't have that one written, it's just that I want to do final revisions before I send over.
Time.
For probably the 5th or 6th time. But, you know, I just need to take some time to focus on all that.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
Probably a good choice. Yeah.
I think so.
You need to calm down a little.
Yeah, calm down. And, like,
sit back.
Going last weekend to see Deadpool 2, I had such a better time just walking around the mall with Audra and watching a movie than I have at the last couple of cons I've been at.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're not great, you know. I do love cons, but
people don't think about that in this sort of lifestyle you're going for, you know. There's a lot of time where you don't get that.
No, at all.
You're just going all the time trying to work.
Right? Working all the time and listening to Zix's Road by Stone Sour.
And then before you know it, you know, you're burned out.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so I've always been a big fan of the thought that before you reach that total burnout stage, pull back, take a break.
Smartest thing you can do.
It's what I've done in the past, and it's what I'm doing right now. So, it's not a total break, because I will be doing prep for the next show that I do, and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I've already done a lot of conventions in 2018.
Yeah, quite a few.
So I don't think it's problematic at all.
And there's still a whole other half of it to go.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm going to be filling it up with shows. So, just these 2 months, I'm going to be taking a break. And then in October, I'm going to make sure to take a break to go see the new Halloween movie. And in July, since I'm going to have some time off, I want to go see The Purge 4.
Oh yeah, The Purge. I forgot about that. That one looks really good.
Oh yeah, it does.
I still haven't seen the one before that.
You need to see that. Election Year was so good. But on the Halloween trailer. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it looks really good.
It does. It does look really good.
It looks way better than the last Halloween that came out.
Oh, Halloween 2 is shit.
Yeah, the first one, you know, it was a bit more brutal than you would expect.
Yes.
Like, I mean, maybe the older ones were brutal in their time,
They were.
But for our time, I thought that it was a relatively brutal film. But, you know, Rob Zombie, he's...
Right, he's a brutal director.
Yeah, that's how he does it. This one...
House of a Thousand Corpses was a really brutal movie.
I didn't make it to that one. I did the next one.
Oh, Devil's Rejects?
Yeah.
Okay, so House of a Thousand Corpses was like the gorier of the two. Devil's Rejects was kind of like, it was like a chase movie. They were just on the run, you know? But yeah, it had those fucked up scenes with like the hotel scene.
Yeah.
That was so fucked up. And I listened to an interview with Bill Moseley where he said that scene still kind of haunts him. Because he was so in character when you did that scene, and it's like, you know, it disturbed and disgusted him.
I could see those movies haunting any of the people that were in them.
Yeah, you would think so. They were pretty fucking disturbing.
I don't know who's directing the new one, or who wrote it, or anything about it.
Okay. It's Danny McBride.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. It's Danny McBride, and what's the name of the guy that he collaborates so much with? I think it's the same dude who did Eastbound and Down with him.
I can't remember.
So when it was announced that they were doing this, you know, they're guys that are known for comedy, and Danny McBride kept going on, you know, he's a real horror fan, real Halloween fan, and this is not going to be one of his comedy things. He's not going to be working, you know, fart and dick jokes in. It's going to be straight up a Halloween movie, and it looks like he's delivering based off the previous.
From the trailer, it looks like he really did it, because this looks like it still has some of the brutality, but it left a lot of that out that Zombie did. Right. But it kept that bit of like the fucked up psychological thing. Right. You know, with all the people there at the mental institution on the big checkerboard. Just like them on that stark contrast flooring, being chained there, and the creepy laughter that they had. It gave you that feel of that smell in the air, that sanitary hospital smell.
Right, it has a psychological effect.
With the creepiness of it. Right. And then Halloween has that creepy... It's a scary time to kids, and a dude donning a mask to go murder people because he did that 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Right. Along with someone who's had to live with that for all these years.
Here's one thing I want to touch on for just a second, though, that I find weird. It's like, have you noticed how many series get a remake and then they go back and do something with the original? It's like Army of Darkness, they made a new version of it, right? And then they did the Brilliant Star Show, Ash versus...
Oh, you mean the new Evil Dead movie?
Evil Dead, that's what I meant, yeah.
Did you see that, though?
Yeah, I did, and I really enjoyed it.
That was good. It was fucked up, but it was good.
It was really good. But I absolutely love the Ash versus Army of Darkness. I think that show is
Ash
fucking
versus Evil Dead?
Yeah, Ash. I keep saying everything all wrong. Ash versus Evil Dead. Ash versus Evil Dead is fucking awesome.
I think I've seen one episode of that, and it was pretty funny.
I watched 2 seasons that are available on Netflix. I haven't seen the 3rd season yet.
They canceled it, I'm pretty sure.
They canceled it after the 3rd season. But I fucking love that show. But then, like, you know, The Karate Kid. They did the remake with Jaden Smith. Yeah. And then they came out with
Jackie Chan.
And Jackie Chan. And then they did the Cobra Kai TV or YouTube show, which if you haven't watched that, that's fucking brilliant too. I love that.
It looked funny.
It is. It's great. It is great. I watched the whole thing in one night. I just binged it while I was working. I thought it was awesome. So you know, they did that. Now with Halloween, you know, they did the Rob Zombie remakes. And then they announced they were returning to the originals. And it was originally, from what I understand, when John Carpenter first thought about doing a new Halloween movie, what it was going to be is that they were going to show where Michael Myers was during the time that number 3 took place, because, you know, Halloween 3 didn't have Michael Myers in it. Have you ever seen it?
No.
It's really fucking stupid, but it had it had a good plot, but it was a really bad carryout, and it was just stupid. But it had nothing at all to do with Michael Myers, because originally they thought of doing Halloween as an anthology. Every year they would release a new Halloween and it would be a different story. So it wasn't meant to have Michael Myers in every single one of them.
Interesting.
But it didn't work with Halloween 3, obviously. It was a bomb, and people didn't like it. I do know some people are fans of it, though. Like Josh, he's a big fan of it.
I bet.
But, but like me, I hate that movie. In any case, with this one, I found it really interesting that they're ignoring number 2. So I understand ignoring number 4, 5, 666, H2O, Resurrection. I get that. Although I think that each of those movies has at least a little bit to offer, but I get why they're ignoring them, you know, especially 666 because that's the one that Paul Rudd like wrote, directed, and starred in when he was all of like 18 or 19. He did this, right? But that one actually has a really good plot where he is Tommy all grown up and he's trying to hunt down the boogeyman. Tommy's the little kid that Lori was watching on the night that the whole thing happened. So I liked that element of it. I thought that was a really good part, you know. But number 2 seems like it's so canon of the original Halloween movies. Not the new Rob Zombie. Number 2 of those was shit. But it seems so canon that I was really shocked when I saw the preview and he's been locked up since the night that Loomis shot him. And it's how Halloween 1 ends.
Yeah, but that's fine, you know. You don't need to...
Oh, yeah, it's perfectly fine.
I think it looks like it's going to do it just fine.
I think so, too.
These are... If Danny McBride is one of the names attached to it, damn, it looks like he's doing a fine job at it.
Right.
And I think John Carpenter's name was on there.
He is.
As well.
Yeah, he's a producer of it.
Yeah, that's even better. Because I mean, I have no idea, but it didn't seem like he would have had a whole lot to do with zombies.
I don't think he did.
He might have been attached
Mustafa, what's his name? He was like the producer on all the Halloween movies.
Oh, no
He had something to do with it, and then he died, I think, after the first Rob Zombie remake.
Under mysterious circumstances?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just like a heart attack or something.
Oh, that's not exciting.
No, it's nowhere near exciting. I know John Carpenter notoriously hates Rob Zombie's remake.
I could totally understand that.
Yeah, I could too.
Yeah, someone took what you made and just turned it into some fucked up shit.
Right.
That's understandable. It's not for everybody.
Right. I think the part that I'm the most sad about, number 2 being ignored, though, with this new one, is the scene where he's in the basement of the hospital and the orderlies are getting on the hot tub and he turns it up and boils them like chickens. I want that part to be canon, damn it.
It's the best kill in the whole series.
It is, because I actually, as a kid, saw Halloween 2 before I saw Halloween 1.
And you had that fear?
And I was like, all of maybe 13, I think, when I saw that. My parents didn't know I was watching it. They went somewhere for a Halloween party. And it was on, like, HBO, and I'm watching it, you know. And, and I saw that. No, I didn't have fear. I was like, yes, boiled them like chickens. So it's my favorite kill of any of the movies.
Well, it has a great trailer. I hope that it lives up to it. Because it looks like it's trying to do these things well.
I don't think any horror movie has to be perfect.
There's no such thing.
So as long as it's entertaining, it's good enough for me.
There's just really good horror movies. There's no perfect horror movies.
No, no, not at all.
For every good horror movie, there's 100 at least that are shit.
Right? So speaking of horror movies, though, and since this is supposed to be a comics-related podcast, and we've discussed comic stuff very little in this particular episode.
If you're about to get to comics, I want to keep it on, not on comics real quick, but still on horror.
No, this is horror and comics.
Mine's not.
And it's a movie.
Yes.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite horror movies that I've found.
Okay, go ahead.
I believe it's called It Comes at Night.
Yes, there is a movie called that.
I don't know that, like... If you see the dude, he has such a recognizable face that you're like, yep, that's him, but I don't know his name. He's very good, and if I'm right in the name of it, it did a whole lot right for me in terms of horror. Okay. Because there's very few people in the movie, there's a lot of quietness to it, and one of the biggest things I think you can do in horror is keep to our baser instincts of fearing what we don't know.
Yes.
Because that's truly what we fear.
Right.
And you don't see in this movie everything that you fear.
Okay.
It always it keeps you guessing. It gives you a little bit, but it always keeps you guessing. What truly is there? Mm-hmm. And then it adds in the human psyche as to how far will you go. And it's one that I would recommend.
Okay. It Comes at Night. I haven't seen that one yet.
I think that's what it's called. I could be wrong.
So, quite a few people were talking to me about this particular movie when I was at Frankenstein. Did you hear the announcement that Jamie Foxx is going to be Al Simmons in the Spawn movie?
No.
So the Spawn movie is supposed to be, according to Todd McFarlane, supposed to be like a straight-up horror movie. It's going to be released by Blumhouse, who are releasing the new Halloween movie, and they've become quite well known for low-budget but high-grossing horror movies.
Yeah, if I see Blumhouse, I instantly think, oh, this is a horror movie.
Yeah. So they are who are financing the new Spawn movie and releasing it. And Todd McFarlane wanted a small budget for it. It's like a $10 million film. He didn't want, like, studios apparently, according to him anyway, you know, it's Todd McFarlane, so who knows. But he said they kept wanting to make it into like $150 million movie. And he's like, no, you know, 10 million. And it was announced this last week.
Is he a writer on it?
He is the writer and director on it.
He's directing?
He is, and the only thing that gives me some faith in that is he has directed things in the past. He did direct the videos for like Freak on a Leash by Korn and I think 10,000 Fists by Disturbed. And he directed some of the episodes of the animated Spawn series. So I know he's got some directing credit. And, you know, some people who have barely any or who had laughable credits at best have done some of the most fantastic movies. I mean, look at James Gunn's career prior to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
It's total fucking unknown. So
the whole new hat.
It is. So I don't know. Todd McFarlane is a talented enough guy, and he seems to accomplish whatever the fuck he sets out to accomplish. So I think that, like, I'm not worried about the fact that he's directing it. That doesn't cause me any concern. But Jamie Foxx is Al Simmons. My hope is that you just see him as Al Simmons when you see the face, but then when the mask is on, it's Keith David's voice. That's what I hope for.
Jamie Foxx has swagger.
He does.
Dude's got it for days.
Right.
So I think he can do.
He is a good actor. But Al Simmons is supposed to be like this total badass type. I'm not sure that I buy Jamie Foxx like that. But the dude can act. He doesn't get a chance to show his full range very often.
No, he's a little bit typecast, I'd say.
Yeah. But like Ray proved, you know, that he can do any role as well as any other actor, you know.
I've liked him in the few things I've seen him in.
Right? So, you know, I want to think he's going to do a really good job, but I want Keith David's voice. At least when the mask is on. I want him to all of a sudden have Keith David's voice.
I wonder if they'll alter it any.
I would think they would probably add at least a graveliness to it, something like that.
You gotta.
And don't let him do Christian Bale's Batman voice, whatever you do.
I don't think he would want to do that.
I don't think so.
He'd probably say, fuck you. I'm not doing that.
But it would sound cool, maybe. Maybe it would. Maybe it would sound awful. If they did some sort of vocal distortion to where it sounded like his vocal cords were wearing down, you know, because he's supposed to be dead. Then see, that would make sense for him going from Jamie Foxx's voice to Keith David's voice, which is why they should just have Keith David do the voice.
Some like low gravelly reverberation going on inside there.
Something like that, yeah. Where he sounded like Keith David. So
that'd be pretty cool.
You know who Keith David is, right?
Maybe.
I think I have the name right. It might be David Keith, but I'm pretty sure it's Keith David. He did the voice of Spawn in the HBO series. He's the voice of Goliath in Gargoyles. Yeah. I want him to reprise the role and do the voice. Anytime the mask is on.
Yeah, Keith David.
Yep. Okay, I did have it right. Yeah, that dude's got such a distinct voice. You know it's him right away whenever you hear him in anything.
Gargoyles, that was great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then we'll discuss something about Gargoyles really quick, and we're about out of time. So we'll stop after that, especially since we've discussed, like, no Darkslinger stuff tonight or very little. So, no, you're not a big fan of Funko Pops, but did you see they're releasing a Gargoyles line?
They look really good.
They do. They look amazing. I want them.
Because they look different than your same old Funko Pop.
They
look a little bit different.
Yeah, different enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Gargoyles were badass.
Fuck yeah.
I don't think I ever watched it on TV, but we had the VHSs of Gargoyles.
Uh-huh.
And that was the shit.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I remember being a kid and, like, going home after school, and they had been announcing and, like, showing trailers and all this stuff, you know, so it looked really cool. I wanted to watch it. I think I was actually like, 13 or 14 when it came out, but I still watch cartoons. I still watch cartoons now. So, I go home and I turn it on, and that first episode, the thug tries to rob, is it Eliza or Elisa? Eliza?
Eliza?
The woman.
No, I want to say Eliza.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
So anyway, when he tries to mug her or whatever it is, and Goliath takes him into the alleyway, and you just hear the snap, and then you see the shadow of the body fall. I was like, this isn't like any Disney cartoon I've ever seen before. This is awesome.
It's just so cool. They're stone, and then they turn into these creatures at night.
Right? And it's so brutal in that first episode how the... are they supposed to be English soldiers? Is that what they are? Or are they Vikings? But whatever they are.
Don't remember.
They take the maces and just club them to death, in their statues. So brutal. Because that they're living beings when they do that, And they never done anything like that on any Disney TV shows.
But are they living?
They are.
They're stone.
Yeah, but they come to life at night.
They come to life at night, but...
No matter what, they killed something.
They broke something.
They did break it. Okay, I guess the easiest way to tell is Goliath's brother that was the cybernetic gargoyle.
Mm-hmm.
Did they piece him together out of the stone and then use the mechanical parts and bring him back to life? Or did they find him all messed up? And I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that one worked. I don't remember.
And then would he only fully work at night?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Would he only gain sentience then?
Maybe. Or maybe the robotic parts overrid the curse. I'm not sure. I need to go back and rewatch those.
How could the robotics override the curse then? And is he still a robot? I don't think you'd call that quite an android.
No. He's not exactly an android. I don't know. I need to go back and rewatch that. We own the first 3 seasons on DVD, so...
These are the serious questions for Gargoyles.
These are. So maybe I'll get time to watch it during my time off from cons, and then I'll be able to answer these questions on an upcoming episode.
I wonder how deep into this people have actually got for Gargoyles.
I do wonder that as well, but I think that's about it for this week. Next week we'll be making an announcement on what that convention pinup is going to be, because it's going to be a sort of introduction to one of our new series. It's not El Bovine Marte pinup.
Ooh. Whole new thing?
Whole new thing. And also, coming up at the end of this week, I'm going to have the second pinup posted for the new Little Lame Mime and Mini Slingers. Remember how I told you we had a Schools Out piece ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be posted at the end of this week.
Nice.
So that'll be the second pinup for that series, and kind of further introduces that series prior to the official launch of the new webcomic.
While you have all these pinups that you're putting up,
mm-hmm.
Are they for sale for people to buy?
No.
Like if they want it printed?
No, not right now anyway.
Why not?
I just haven't done that.
Well, you should get on that.
I should. But I guess it's kind of a time thing, and I would kind of need to sell a certain amount of each one of them before I put them into production.
Yeah, print on demand, I guess, can be a little spendy.
Yeah, if I were doing print on demand posters, the cost is way more, because I could print like 10 copies of a poster for 20 to 30 cents a piece at 11 by 17. And if it's print on demand, my cost on it goes up to like $5 a piece. If there was interest, I would for sure do it. I'm not sure that there's interest in seeing every single Halloween pinup done. Or not Halloween, every single holiday pinup done as a poster. There are some that I think would really work really well, like the Paul's Nightmare, or Nightmare on Elm Street Lame Mime piece, that would probably do really well at Crypticon, for instance, stuff like that. But I think I'd have to kind of pick and choose what became what,
Yeah.
And maybe that's just part of it, is right now I'm still building up the notoriety for any of the webcomic type stuff. So, anyway, that's something that we can delve into a bit more next week, especially since we'll have one pinup ready to announce and one ready to post. So, or one that will be posted by the time we record. So, for this week's Darkslinger Mafia podcast, I'm Adam Watson.
Robert Diaz.
Thank you for listening.